Welcome back to Health Talk. I'm your host, Vandell Cobb, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about mental illness. On today's show, we have Gwanji Richardson Alston. Hey, Gwanji, how you doing today?
I'm fine.
I'm glad to have you on the show today. Gwanji is the owner of Gwanji's Counseling, and so she's going to share with us some information about mental illness and some of the differences in the cultures and barriers that we face in America.
So those illnesses include bipolar, depression, anxiety, oppositional defiant disorder, conduct disorder, and a number of other illnesses. So we cover a broad spectrum of mental health diagnoses.
Okay, so some of the things that, a lot of people don't know in the community, first of all, they don't know how to go into, getting and obtaining access to those services. So what have you and your team done in the community to bring more awareness to families and, about access and services?
Well, as you know, access to care has been an issue since we had the last African American Attorney General. She came and spoke at Dillard University, but it's very different across different population groups and different cultural groups. African Americans have always had issues with access to care to mental health services, physical health services, but in mental health, no one wants to think that their perfect baby may have an issue with being hyperactive or having problems with conduct, even though they're getting calls frequently from the school saying, hey, little John is acting out. We gave him an in-school suspension. He's at risk of expulsion. So no one wants to see their perfect baby to be perceived as not so perfect. In the Hispanic community, one of their barriers is not having the proper legal paperwork to be able to receive the proper care that they need. Even though they contribute to our tax base and our community resources, they don't access the services that's available to them and that are available to other people that they may know. They don't want to even access the services. Now, mental health has always been near and dear to my heart since I was a young person. And, I'm not going to stop being a pioneer for mental health no matter what.
So it's something that you're very passionate about. And one of the things that I just recently found out is that you have a state-of-the-art play therapy room. And you allow other therapists to come in and, work with children, or even adults can come in and utilize that facility. What sparked your interest in wanting to, open a play therapy?
Well, one of the things that I know is that children learn best when you meet them where they are. And children that have been exposed to severe trauma, you may be able to get them past the trauma if you meet them where they are, and that's through play. We have an African American play therapy room where the room is centered towards and surrounding African American culture. So with that being said, all of the figurines, like we have African American puppets, African American figurines for the family, from the adult male to the baby child. We also have some figurines for other non-African American cultures that are also available and accessible for use.
And so one of the things is that, we just had to experience, America just experienced a heartbreaking tragedy with the mass shooting. We are here in New Orleans, and we have a lot of gun violence. We have a lot of our youth, black teens that are gunned down, or they're even sometimes the ones that are pulling the trigger. Do you think that there's any correlation in between the gun violence that we see here with mental illness, and is there a difference in what happened with the mass shooting at the school? Because I know that they were saying that what we see in the media and on the news, everybody's talking about that it was that the person, that the perpetrator, he had some type of mental illness. So
Mental illness crosses all ages, all races, and all genders, and all socioeconomic classes. So as the state and the government continue to propose cuts, implement cuts, and reduce the resources that are available to the mental health industry, we're going to constantly see an influx in these type of events and these type of occurrences in our communities and in other people's communities. They're talking about the gun violence that was displayed in that school shooting, but there have been threats and just basically people coming out and saying, hey, I have a gun and I'm at the school. Since then, all across Louisiana, that's been reported, and some that's gone unreported. And it's an atrocity, but as we cut resources and we cut services that are accessible and available, we're going to continue to see the influx of this. And a lot of the perpetrators that I'm watching, I watched the news, and some of these perpetrators were actually perpetrators in a juvenile system. And now they're going to be transitioning to an adult justice, an adult criminal system. And that's just unfortunate, because had they addressed the mental health issue, we wouldn't have to worry about that. These individuals can be productive and contribute towards the tax base.
So is there like a way, like I hear two things that you're saying. One of the things you're saying is, there's a lot of cuts, and, I'm aware of the cuts in mental health as well. But the other thing is, you say that these young adults that are committing crimes, they go in and then they're just going to the adult system. It's just a cycle. They just start out as a youth and then they're going as adults. So on the back end, we as professionals, we're in the community, we see everything that's happening, but nothing's. What do you suggest, or what do you think that we can put in place as professionals to just try to kind of have, instead of being proactive? That's what I want to get out. What can we put in place to be more reactive, like on the front end, instead of having a child that's 12 years old that started out doing some things and may have mental illness, and then at 17 he's full blown, he didn't did something tragic. So like, what, I know we're facing the cuts, I hear you saying that, but besides lobbying and going up to what can we do to kind of.
When you say we want to take a proactive approach to resolving the mental health crisis in Louisiana. With that, we need to increase our resources in providing community-based services and providing services to children that are already involved in the juvenile justice system. Yes, there's a lot of funds that go into the juvenile justice system, but I think that we should focus more on reintegrating and having these individuals work in the capacity of having them become unified with their community versus being incarcerated. One of the laws that recently changed was they changed that juveniles will be transferred to the adult system, and that was a big plus. But we need to get resources pumped into the jail system so that when these individuals graduate from the program, they're graduating and they're being returned to society with a trade. And it's not an option, it should be a requirement, because when you are incarcerated, you're a product of the state. So if you're a product of the state should be able to mandate and put stipulations that you get these trades, that you get these things, because when you return someone from the juvenile justice system back into the community without additional resources or additional funding or different additional skills, these individuals are being set up to fail. And if you set up to fail, you ultimately will fail.
Yeah. So it's just not like just in the community, there's different, different areas that we would have to take a look at. It's just, it can be, in the penile system as well as in the community as well, to try to find programming that would help, decrease individuals from returning back to the penal system, and at the same time, those that had never been in that system, stay here and not have a criminal record, not, be free, not get into trouble.
What I'm realizing is people want to paint one picture of mental health and then they want to paint a different picture of mental health. Mental illness is the same, whether it's a white person that's perpetrating a crime or an African American that's perpetrating a crime. When you have someone that is homicidal, they're homicidal against all people, all races, all things, whether they're African American or not. But what we're noticing, because New Orleans is very saturated with African Americans, is African Americans perpetrating crimes against African Americans. So it's a little bit different. And when they cut rates to mental health, they're cutting rates to mental health individuals who receive state-funded services. People that have private insurance, they may not receive the impact of the cuts for mental health or mental illness, whereas other populations are. But they're less likely to access the care for mental health services across the board. And we just need to be more proactive about getting the information out about mental health, about mental illness, about different diagnoses, so that individuals, when they see the signs, they see the symptoms, and different things are going on, you can address them. My mother has my adult brother, who's 4 years my senior, and she has my nephew who has recently moved back into her home, and my brother who came for 2 weeks during Mardi Gras, who needs breakfast, lunch, and dinner prepared for him. She hasn't been doing that for years, but now she's taking care of three. She was taking care of 3 adult males. She called me yesterday. She said, I just feel overwhelmed in this house. So I say, hey, Mom, let's go to bingo. I'll meet you at the bingo for 8 o'clock. We went to bingo, and, I'm a social worker, and, it's very difficult to realize when someone in your family has mental health issues. But because I'm a social worker, I try and pay close attention to basically the people that are family and the people that's not. And I recognize, hey, my mom might just be going through some depression or some adjustment disorder with all of these adult people that's dependent on her when she has limited resources and limited funds to be able to provide for them. So with that being said, it's our responsibilities as professionals to take care of the community, and it's also the family responsibility to realize, hey, my son is not acting like himself and something is going on, and reach out to the people that are professionals to be able to provide them with the necessary resources and support that's needed.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's definitely a time to stop pushing it to the side and acting like we don't see the differences in our loved ones, especially in our home and in our communities. If you know that somebody's having some type of, a different behavior, you need to, pretty much say something and report it to someone that can probably get you, get that help. So it was nice having you on the show today. Can you give the audience your contact information and how to get in touch with you?
Sure. I'm Gwanja Richardson Austin, and we have several locations in New Orleans. 2138, 2140 St. Bernard Avenue, 1501 Newton Street in Algiers. We have an office on Hector, but you can reach me if you have questions or concerns, or you just feel like you need to talk. You can always call me at 504-239-0989. I'm available 24/7. Even if you call after hours, my phone is still available. That's 504-239-0989. And it was a pleasure coming to your show today.
I want to thank Gwanja Richardson Austin for being our guest today, and we'll be right back with more Health Talk. Welcome to Health Talk. I'm your host, Vandell Cobb, and on today's show we have Dr. Charmaine Lawson Baker. She is the Chief Medical Director over Common Grounds, and today we're going to be talking about diabetes. Hey girl, I'm glad you came onto the show today.
Hi, thanks for having me. So happy to be here.
Well, we want to just start off talking a little bit about diabetes and, some health tips. So can you give us some tips on diabetes?
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say that diabetes is the number 7 leading cause of death in America. And I just think that we all just need to stop and let that resonate. The 7th leading cause of death in America. And I think that the more we talk about it, the more people can become familiar with it. And so let's just start with the basic symptoms of diabetes. And that's something that people come in to the clinic, common ground with a lot. They have these symptoms and they say, I don't know what this is. I don't know what's going on. It's something that my mom has, my dad has, and my grandmother has. That's something that people need to know as well, that usually it's something that you contract from family member. It's something that's hereditary. That's the first thing. Some of the signs of diabetes are increased thirst, increased eating, and increased urination. And you think, well, why all these things increase? If you think about diabetes, it's usually, especially when your body has too much sugar on board, just too much in your body, then you're really in a toxic state. And your body it's beautiful. It's beautifully made, and your body is going to instinctively try to get rid of all the sugar. So what do? You start peeing, just going to the bathroom like 1,000 times. You start trying to drink up a lot of water because you're toxic, trying to get rid of the sugar. So you're trying to drink a lot of water, trying to dilute your body, and you're trying to eat a lot. And so, on a personal level, it's something that I was diagnosed with a couple of years ago. Yes, and I have, through a series of changing my diet and doing strenuous exercising, I am pretty much right now diabetes free. And it's diagnosed with your symptoms and also with doing a quick blood sugar stick called a blood glucose test, whereas we measure that and see if your numbers are within a certain range. And normally we like that range to be less than 100. And so at the time when my blood sugar was taken, I was at 500. And so I am a pretty big cheerleader for getting everybody on board with knowing the symptoms and with early detection and early treatment. Because with early detection and early treatment, in most cases, when you're treated again or tested again after going through pills and or insulin shots, it's non-detected. You can't detect that it's even in your system. And that's where I am now. I'm not on any medicines or anything now because of, again, strenuous exercise and watching my diet and doing what my nurse practitioner told me to do. As my grandmother would say, you're healed.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So there is a way to kind of cure or even, just live with diabetes.
Absolutely. It's not a death sentence. It's something that's very manageable. And in many cases, it's managed by diet and exercise alone if it's detected early. And that's the key, detecting early.
And so if individuals wanted to come by Common Ground, is there testing for diabetes? Do y'all have testing days?
Absolutely. Common Ground Clinic is open 5 days a week. We offer primary care on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 8 to 5. And Friday, we offer OBGYN services. And we have a late day in which we are open until 7 p.m., and that's on Wednesday. And on Monday through Thursday, anybody can come in and get tested, get checked. We offer sliding scale fees for individuals who may not have insurances. And we offer all types of services for individuals who may just not have much income. Okay. So, and we also, in addition to that, we accept all insurances as well. But we definitely want to make it clear that we are a federally qualified healthcare center. And that just means that we have to, and are tasked with seeing individuals who don't have insurance or just don't have the means to afford it.
Okay. And so y'all equipped to be able to service them whether they have insurance or not?
Absolutely. Yes. And we're adding pediatric services now as well. Right now we're predominantly adult care, and we have we habla español, so we treat patients who are Hispanic or speak Spanish, and we are just branching out. We have a new location that we're adding, and we're doing a lot of great things in the community. Pretty excited about it. Yeah,
That's good. I guess that's a lot for you right now, being a chief medical director.
it's a lot, but it's manageable. I say my prayers and I keep moving. Yeah.
Yeah, prayers are key.
Yes.
One of the things that I found very interesting about you, knowing that you're a doctor, that was one of the things. But
Nurse practitioner.
Nurse practitioner.
Yes.
Okay.
And we made it clear I have my doctorate degree.
Okay.
But I am a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's well. So that brings me to my question, because I was when I found out about Nola the nurse.
Yes.
I want you to kind of tell us a little bit about Nola the nurse, how that came to start.
Sure. Nola the Nurse is a children's book series that I wrote. And it came about a few years ago when my daughter was about 2 years old, when I wanted to find books to go into her library that actually showed her what mom did. And I couldn't find any books out there that described or even mentioned the role of the nurse practitioner, or the role of the advanced practice nurse, which would be your nurse practitioner, your midwife, your CRNA, your certified nurse specialist. It just didn't exist. Okay. So I said, well, I guess I need to make it happen. I guess I need to do it. So I developed a whole series of books. We now have three books that are written in the series that are out on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and on our website, nolaTheNurse.com. And so what it is Nola's a seven-year-old little girl who wants to be a nurse practitioner like her mom. So she goes around with her mom to different home care visits and sees what her mom does and says, well, I can do that. But of course she doesn't have patience. So what she does is she decides to take care of her friends' sick baby dolls. Okay. So she goes to each home and takes care of the dolls. And what she discovers in each home, just like you do when you go to someone's home, is that she explores a new culture with each home. And so not only is she getting to learn about taking care of baby dolls, but she's learning about a culture. And then what do you do when you go to somebody's home? They always want to feed you something. Right. So she actually gets to get a meal from that culture as well. So my whole goal and mission of writing Nola the Nurse was not only to get kids to see that the nursing profession is friendly and accessible, but I also wanted them to see and learn that it's important to be culturally sensitive. Yeah. So that's the whole thing with Nola the Nurse. We have 3 books out, 3 coloring books. We are now in French, translated, and we're in Spanish as well. And we also have 6 activity books and a doll and a mascot that's about 6 feet tall that goes with me to schools. And I talk to kids about how great it is to be an advanced practice nurse, a nurse practitioner, or CRNA, certified registered nurse anesthetist, or a midwife.
Okay. So you just came back from, what was it, Shreveport?
I did.
How many kids did you have?
Amazing. I believe we had close to 1,000 kids screaming, loud and getting excited about being a nurse practitioner, or at least knowing that these healthcare professionals exist on the healthcare team. There are other options for them. And that's very important for our kids to know.
This is wonderful. Yeah. I think that's wonderful. One of the other things is, on the show, since we're talking about your book, I want to give individuals a chance to be able to order your book on the show.
Sure.
And so, you're fine with
Absolutely, that's not a problem at all. Whatever I need to do to help out, just let me know. I'm happy to give you books and have them for your listeners.
I know you're going around and doing any book signings or anything. You have anything coming up?
I don't have anything coming up just yet. There's always something coming up. People calling me. I haven't actually booked anything locally here, but I am open and available for any presentations, or if any schools wanted me to come by and present to them about Nola the Nurse and what nurse practitioners do, I'm happy to do that.
And I can tell you're very passionate about your profession too.
I am. I want everybody to be a nurse practitioner. I do, including your daughter.
Yeah, she's definitely in school to become one. Yeah, so that's the goal. So I know you mentioned Common Ground. Y'all will open another location. Can you just kind of give us the information on if somebody wanted to come in for testing? Or?
Sure, if you're interested in coming in for any primary care needs, if you have children or if you're an adult, we can be reached at 504-361-9800. And our current location that is open is 1400 Tesh.
Okay. Okay, and one of the other things I know, we wouldn't want you to leave the show without giving us your NOLA the Nurse contact information.
Sure, and we're all over social media. We're on Facebook, NOLA the Nurse. We are NOLAthenurse.com, and we are on Instagram, or as the kids would say, IG, or the gram, NOLA the Nurse. And you can reach me at 504-813-1834.
It's so good to have you on the show today.
Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you for having me. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank Dr. Charmaine Lawson Baker for coming on the show today, and we'll be right back with more Health Talk.